Now we're going to show you how to make the cars and trucks in the car and truck pattern. You begin by foundation piecing the car or truck. It will look like this. I'm sure you use your color guide to tell you which color goes where, which fabric goes where. Now we need to make it dimensional, so we're going to layer it with another piece of fabric, right sides together, and very thin polyester bonded batting. We're going to layer it on top like that. Then we'll take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew on this outside solid line, and that will give us the shape of the car. Now when you're doing this, notice how the truck comes down, and this might be confusing because you're paper piecing this whole section one piece, and then you're going to sew down to make it the shape. And this is top stitched here to make that shape. So don't let that be confusing. Machine or foundation piece this whole section. It will all flip down, and then when you're sewing on the outside, that's what makes this shape. Once it's sewn, then you cut on the outside dash line, and you're going to remove the paper and turn it right side out. Now you might want to trim the corners a little bit more, and when you have an inside corner like this, go ahead and cut to the V. That will help it turn and not pull on you when you try to turn it right side out. Just like that. And around, trim your corners. It's just fine to cut a little notch off the corners. Then once it's done and you remove the paper and you turn it right side out, then you'll have your car shape. And you're going to do the same with the wheel wells. Will also be sewn, trimmed, and cut out. Now we're ready to put the car into the block. Now we're going to foundation piece this dimensional car into the block. And if you're not familiar with foundation piecing, be sure to review the video tutorial we have on that. So all of our fabric is placed on the unprinted side, and number one, which is this large piece, number one area, is placed right side away. And we cut a piece big enough to cover all of area number one. Now we need to know where to place our car, and because all of our fabric is placed on this side, we don't have any lines or anything to go off of to place our car on that side. So we're going to turn it over and we're going to machine baste right here, right where the car goes into the seam. And I've done it in a red here so you can see it, but of course you would do it in matching colors. You're not going to take that out at any time. It's just to mark the location of where the car is placed on this block. Now that it's visible for us, we're going to place first our car so that the open edge is 1/4 inch below that line. Next, we're going to place our wheel well, or fenders, and they go also aligned with that same line, 1/4 inch below that basting. We pin it to secure it because we don't want it to move on us while we're sewing. Then we cut a piece of background fabric, again large enough to cover this area number 2, the skinny part at the bottom. This time it goes right side down, and it is also 1/4 inch past that basting. We hold that or pin it so it won't move, and we're going to go to the machine and we're going to sew across this whole line, and that will enclose the raw edges of the car and our fenders, and we'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so now on this side we sewed all the way across this line. We've trimmed the extra out of the seam, and this will fold back and cover area number 2. Now we could go ahead and trim on this outside dash line to make our block square. And the tires are little yo-yos, and how you do a yo-yo is you cut your circle, your pattern's provided, and then you're just going to turn under 1/4 inch the top edge, and as you turn it you're going to hand baste just at the very top, and the basting stitches are fairly long. They're between 1/4 and 1/2 an inch. The reason why you want them long is each time you are stitching, you're creating bulk. you're creating another little fold, and if your stitches are way too tiny, then you won't be able to pull this yo-yo closed. It will have an opening. So then once it's pulled, I go all the way around and I pull it and I work with it until all the little folds are radiating out, and there's my little tire. I'm going to do that for both. I'm going to show you how to blind stitch this tire onto the car. So first, take the paper off. It's a lot easier to work with. You use a single thread, and the idea is that you don't want any stitches to show on the top. It's also an applique stitch. So here I've come up from the bottom and I've just grabbed the edge of the tire, and I'm going to go back down right where I came up, and then I'm going to move forward and catch the edge of the tire, go back down through, and each time I don't go forward very much. Maybe call 1/4 of an inch is kind of a lot to progress forward, but each time I'm just going to catch the edge of the tire, and I'm coming straight across right where I came up to go back in. That way there will be no, very small stitches showing on the front. If I were to I came out here and I were to go in here, it would be a long stitch showing, and I don't want a long stitch showing. So I'm coming up and back down right where I came in. And that is a basic applique or a blind stitch, and we use that a lot. We're going to blind stitch the car around the edge here. And we made our little light the same way as the car. However, we didn't layer it with batting. I just stuffed it after. And on this little car, the light comes out of the fender like this. And I'm just going to take it on the back and whip stitch that down so that will hold in there. And I might use for the back light an orange, since it will contrast better with this little red car. And that's how we make our little cars and trucks. They're done just the same way. I hope you have fun with this.